Welcome to Beyond the Wall. It's my life story before, during, and after incarceration. As you know, I've spent the last 23 years and 8 months in a penitentiary. And I'm including the county jail, fighting my case, and being sent to all the different prisons through the course of the last 2 decades. I share with you guys on my other videos called Welcome to the USP. And in there, I give you a glimpse of the world that I lived in for the last 2+ decades. You know, for me, I just did my time. I did my time the way that I was supposed to, the way that ensured my survival, and the way that I could make it the best as possible for myself. So when situation arises, I deal with it. When trauma, with drama, and all that other stuff that happens around me, I ignore it. You know, in the penitentiary, just being locked up, you're never alone. You have a cellie, you're around other people, so there's really no time for you to decompress. There's no breaks. There's no time out from your situation. I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning when the doors rack, and I'm up all day until the doors close again at 8:45, 9 o'clock. You know, for 20-something years, I never took time to take a nap. Even when I'm in the smooth program, where I'm just locked in my cell, or I'm in the SHU where I'm locked 23 and 1, but it's more like 24 hours, 48 hours, and then you get wrecked maybe 3 times a week, an hour each time. But even when I'm locked in my cell, I'm up at 5:30. I stay up writing letters, reading books, or whatever until 9, 10 o'clock. I've always kept my routine consistent because I didn't want to develop a bad habit while I'm in the SHU of sleeping during the day and all that stuff. And then when they finally let me back out to population, my body would have trouble adjusting to the different sleep time. So I always keep my schedule consistent, no matter if I'm in population or if I'm locked down in the SHU. You know, if I shared with you before, as like, there's no way that people like me and others that has been in the environment that I've been in can come away from that unscathed, unaffected. You know, I think I'm perfectly normal, but I think I'm perfectly normal because I'm in an environment where crazy is normal. The behavior that we exude while we're in the penitentiary or in those conditions are, to civilians out here, abnormal, crazy, and all the other different, words that you want to use to describe our behavior, our conduct, or whatever it is that we do in that environment. But being in that environment, everything we see, everything we do, everything we participate in is normal to us. So we don't ever understand the psychological effect that is having, the toll that is taking, not just on our mental state, but on our health, our condition, our interaction with people out here. You know, it's one thing to say, hey, specialists have told us that after this amount of time in this type of environment, you're gonna have some of these different type of effects, as opposed to actually being diagnosed with that shit. In the beginning, I always say, yeah, we suffer from PTSD, but I had no clue what PTSD is. I'm not a medical profession. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. and the things that I understand, what those things are, post-traumatic stress syndromes or whatever it is, it's just from things that I've read. Because we don't recognize that we are stressed or having some of these psychological effects because we're out here living our lives, grinding away every day, and there's no time to sit and cry about these shit. But I'm court ordered to see a therapist bi-weekly. Twice a month, I see this lady named Tiffany, who, for the most part, is something unexpected. First, when I was court ordered to go to these therapy sessions, I was kind of bucking the system because I felt like I don't need to be in a room wasting my time talking to strangers about something that I'm not going to even talk to them about. But as we progress through our sessions, she's come across as somebody that really cares about my well-being and the well-being of her other clients, and that she's not one of those that are just sitting there pointing a finger at you and making excuses, whatever, or try to put you on medication or anything like that. So, I haven't been able to sleep too much in the last few months, but since I've been home, really. And, for me, I don't really mind not sleeping because when you're asleep, you dream. And when you dream, you're in that world. And in your dream and in your sleep, while you're in that world, your mind can't differentiate that this is just a dream or if it's reality. To me, the dreams I have, I don't really consider them a nightmare. They're frustrating when I get up, but the way that my body reacts to the dream, my therapist said those are nightmares because sometimes I wake up sweating, sometimes I wake up with my heart pounding, and sometimes I just wake up really angry, and it's a repetitive dream. It's me being back in prison, but I know I'm not supposed to be there because in my dream, I'm telling the people around me like, hey, what the fuck? Why am I here? I'm supposed to have been home a couple years ago. I'm supposed to have been home a few months ago. Why are you guys not letting me out? And it's just reliving that sense of hopelessness. For anyone that's been sentenced and been confined in these spaces, whether it's a few years or decades, you get to a point where you question your reality. There was a time when I was in there that it was hard for me to fathom or even imagine the real world again. I questioned myself, like, man, was I ever a kid playing in the schoolyard? Did I ever ride my bike around? Or was that just the dream? And that my reality is me sitting here in a cell? Because the last few years, we've always been on lockdown. So I find myself on my bunk looking out the window. And through the window, all I see is the yard. I don't see beyond the wall to where the traffic is, to where people are walking around. All I see is the prison yard. And my reality of the free world, I see it through a tube, a box, the television. But television or fiction is created for our entertainment, whether it's a reality show, a sports game, the news. It can easily be manipulated and be shown to us what they want us to see. So I came to a point in my in time, there were certain times when I watched the television, and that I'm questioning, are these people really at Disneyland? Are they really riding these roller coaster rides? Or is this just something that's fabricated to keep me from going insane? Because my reality is the cell. It's the 8x12 cell that I'm in. My visual reality is through the window. And all I see is dirt, speck of grass, barbed wire fence, couple, dip bars and pull-up bars. So while you're sitting there waiting, whether it's decades, in my experience, it's decades, trying to cast yourself into the future, hoping maybe one day you can return to the real world. But after 2 decades, after 15 years, I think this is the time that I started contemplating this. It was around 2014. I questioned, do I really have a wife that's waiting for me in the world? Do I really have brothers and sisters out there? Did I really live this previous life before the life that I've known? Because I'm 45 years old right now. Through the course of my life, I probably spent over 28 years incarcerated. That's over half of my life. So, so it's not hard for me to explain to you that these dual realities sometimes don't make sense to me. Just the other day that when I was coming home from the gym, I was asking my wife how she enjoyed being married to me. And she was just, and she told me that, the life that we had before, where she was out here and I was in there, it was for so long that was our reality, and that she accustomed herself to it. Where this life right now, with us being together, with us being married, with us being home, being able to go out, being able to do things, is surreal to her. And when she explained that, and she was telling me that, I understand what she's talking about. Because what if this right here is my dream, which is a wonderful, lovely dream, but I'm always fearing that somebody's going to tap me on the shoulder and wake me up. And when I wake up, I'm going to see them 4 walls again. I'm just giving you an update on what's going on with me. Part of the program that I'm trying to present to you guys is what people like me go through when they're trying to insert themselves back into the community. And before, I couldn't express to you how it was with people that coming home, because I've never been the one person that came home. And when I had friends that came home before me, and I get on the phone and I call them, and when I call them, I'm expecting to hear from them all this happy, joy stuff. But what I hear from them is the struggles that they're going through. Not just with the financial situations, getting jobs into, but the struggles that they're going through psychologically, how they have panic attacks when they get themselves in certain situation, or how they just don't feel comfortable here and there. And while I was in there, I was like, man, what kind of crybaby shit is this? You're free now. Make the most of it. Have fun. Enjoy your life. Because I've never been in their situation, so I couldn't understand. And now that I'm here, I have a complete different understanding, or a better understanding of the situation that they came home to. And I'm fortunate, because the people that came home before me didn't have the same resources that I have. And with all the support and the love and resources that I have, I still find myself going through the things that they're going through. But like I said, assuming just because you read books, because these professionals have told you that, you know, people like me will and can suffer these certain psychological effects, I thought I was above that. I thought I was one of those people that, I mean, I'm not here to say that people that suffer these things are weak or anything like that, but I pride myself in not allowing these different things to affect me. But even that sense of pride is an illusion, because it's not reality. The reality is that you can't go through life and have all these different trauma, and deal with all these different traumas, and have it not affect you psychologically. You know, but my therapists tell me that it's not even just the time that I've been incarcerated, but it's been my whole entire life. You know, I was born in a slave camp back in 1977 during the Pol Pot regime, when the Khmer Rouge took over the country and enslaved the whole country. They emptied out the city and put us all out in the rice fields growing rice, and yet people were starving. I was born in one of those camps and when I was born, I was malnourished. So I went through a lot of sickness. And when I was 2, we fled to Thailand. But on our first attempt, the Thai military closed the border on us, sent us back because they didn't want the Khmer Rouge chasing us into their border. So a few years later, or how many months later, we made another attempt. And finally that time, the Americans had already set up a refugee camp in Thailand. You know, my father had 18 members in his family. When he left the country, when he fled the country, it was only me, my little brother, and my older sister, my older half-sister, Patty. Everybody else in his family died. You know, all these things through the course of my time, I guess you can say I've just been in a cesspool of trauma. But like I said, our culture, not even just our culture, but our financial class, we're considered low middle class or whatever. We don't have, you know, I always say like depression, stress, anxieties, these are symptoms for the wealthy, for the rich, that can sit back and contemplate these different things that they're going through. But with us, in the middle class that we are, we don't have time to sit and ponder these things because we have to get up every morning and grind, make the rent, put food on the table, and so on and so forth. So my next step is to see a psychologist, and they want to put me on meds because they think I'm showing the signs and symptoms of PTSD. You know, these episodes and stuff that I share with you, sometimes it's going to be entertaining. I don't know if any of it's ever been funny, but I'm just giving you a glimpse of what prison does to people. No matter how strong you are, or how strong you think you are, there's no way that you can sit in a freaking cell the size of a bathroom for 2 decades and not be affected. You know, PTSD usually has always been reserved for people that's been to war, has come home from war. But anybody that's ever been in the penitentiary, the United States Penitentiary, the USP, knows that that place in itself is a freaking war zone. Welcome to Beyond the Wall. See you guys next time.